Hello everyone and welcome back to another Sims 4 YouTube video. Today we are back with a mod review. I know last week we had a couple videos about the kits, but those are all said and done with. If you want to go watch those, they'll be, linked. They'll be on my YouTube channel that you can go check those out. But today we're going to be doing another part to the relationship and pregnancy overall mod by Lumpino. I'm hoping that I'm saying that correctly. But this time we're going to be focusing on the divorce and custody side of the mod. As you all know, there's like 19 different mods within the overhaul. So one of them has to do with more of a realistic divorce system and also custody for your Sims with children. So you can do custody with more than one child, but a little bit about the mod for the divorce segment is that you will have the option to either divorce your partner amicably or angrily. So your partners might not be too happy with you. You'll see more of what I'm trying to explain here in the mod review, but basically there's a few things to note about the divorce system is it does take into account your Sim's income, where they live, and the child preference as well when you're talking about the custody. But everything's pretty much randomized, so I really don't know how much to explain on the divorce side, because it's just it's what your game decides and it's what the mod decides for you. But there are cheats and stuff to with the custody side. If you had a Sim that basically if your kid went to the different household that you didn't want, you can always cheat it back to your household. But enough of me rambling about this. Let's get into the mod review. So we're in game, as you can see, and I am going to go ahead and give them careers just because, like I was saying in the beginning of this video, with the divorce portion of this mod, if your Sims are in a career, that will help them whether they get custody of their children and how much money they'll get with the settling of estate. Yes, that is correct. With the whole divorce process, basically your Sims will either separate or they will have a temporary separation. With the temporary separations, you will not be able to go through the whole divorce process because you're just separated, which is another cool feature of this mod, is that maybe you have a storyline where your Sims separate but then they come back together, so it allows for more realistic gameplay. But within this, you have the custody portion of the mod, you have the settling estates. So basically when your Sims move out, you can settle estates to get some more money or even lose money depending on the situation. Again, this is all randomized, so it's very hard for me to explain exactly like what will happen because it's basically randomized for each kind of divorce thing. But with this, it's just not in the base game Sims where you just click divorce and everything's fine. There's a couple extra steps, but it allows for more gameplay stories, which is what I'm here for. I love more gameplay stories. As my kid is painting the sidewalk, you know what, that's fine, I'm not even gonna get mad. But we'll go ahead and put her into a career. We'll put them both into a career. We don't have time for welcome wagons. I'm trying to get my Sims to have a divorce over here, so we're gonna move the child inside, and I feel like this is probably best to do outside, so we'll just have the couple meet out here. This is where the fun happens, guys. Unless you don't want your Sims to get a divorce, then you don't have to do this, but for mod purposes, we're just gonna do this. And I guess they want to do it inside. I was trying to give them some privacy, but we can do this inside. We can do this inside. So I'm gonna use Francesca as our divorcer. So we're just gonna click on our Sim and then hit on the RPO section of the mod. And don't worry, the mod's not broken. It's just sometimes it does this, but we'll go up to makeup and breakup section. Here you can see that you can hit a demand temporary separation, separate permanently amicably, which means, friendly, you both decided to go your separate ways, or angrily. We're going to try and do amicably because with the amicably, sometimes it's easier just for the child's sake, because you can actually decide without having to go through court with custody to put your kids in which household you want to, if that makes sense. But we're going to hit this button, and right here you can see a list of options that you can choose from, which it makes it more fun because it's not just like in The Sims where you divorce and maybe you got a reason in your head as to why they're divorcing, but you can't really click it. So within this mod, it allows you to actually click on the option, and that does play a role in whether your Sims will decide to divorce amicably or not. So you can decide on whatever you want to. Maybe you caught your Sims cheating and you want to divorce because they're a cheater. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe you got married too soon, didn't want to. They also have different gender orientation. So maybe your Sims chose, a different gender orientation. They don't want to be with that person anymore. They can, move on from that. But I think we're going to go with life crisis here. I haven't really been playing this family. I've only been playing them for as long as I've been making this video for. So honestly, I don't know, much about them, but we're just going to click life crisis because I feel like that's what's most fitting here. So they're going to go out and divorce they're now getting a divorce. And this is what the animation looks like, of them kind of going back and forth. And then it says Francesca's putting an end to her romantic relationship with Jarrett. And they now despise each other, but Jarrett refused to separate amicably. His negative feelings are too strong for that. It seems there's no staying in good terms now. So that is that is something that can potentially happen, where your Sims do not decide to separate amicably, and that can cause some turmoil within the divorce process. But what we can do next is, obviously, we don't want Jarrett living here anymore. So we're going to click on him, and we will go to more options and click back on the pregnancy overhaul, click on makeup and breakup. And you do not want to hit finalize divorce yet, just because we won't have the ability to settle splitting of the estates, but also we won't get to choose the custody. You don't have to choose custody if you don't want to, but we will ask them to move out permanently. Sometimes I like the new stuff from growing together, and sometimes it's annoying when you're trying to get through a point. But we're gonna hit ask to move out permanently. Now with this, when she asks him, sometimes your Sims will actually refuse to move out, and then it's a whole debacle. Hopefully he decides to leave, because he already despises us anyways, but he did. I'm gonna go ahead and give him about 15,000 simoleons, so we kind of split it evenly. But with that, you can now choose to where he will live now. And you can also select households like that have people there as well, if you just didn't want to deal with buying a house. But what will happen is the family will move to another household. So we will travel with Jarrett, if that makes sense. So once we click this, kind of like when you split a household, whoever you're splitting, you have to move them into a property. So it will take you to Jarrett. So we will go with Jarrett, and we'll just buy this because it's the only thing he can afford. But as you can see, Jarrett is fuming. He is mad. Is a necessary move, but also he is not amicably. They want an amicable separation after everything, and after asking for a breakup to begin with. It simply can't happen. There will never be anything even remotely close to amicable between them ever again. I think he's mad, guys. I think he's mad. But we're gonna go ahead and go back into our other household. So we'll go ahead and save and go to manage world. Again, you can move them to wherever you want. Maybe you got another family that will take them in for, until they get up on their feet. But we'll go back to our main family. I don't know where'd the kid go? Where did the kid go? She just left. She said, I'm done. My parents are fighting. I'm just gonna leave. They're not really fighting. She just asked for a divorce. To which Jarrett said no. We're gonna bring her back here because I don't even know where she was. Anyways, so now that we have moved him out, we're gonna look for a divorce lawyer, because now we can actually start the process of the whole divorce, of the divorce system, of the divorce process. So we're gonna look for a divorce lawyer. She's still sad. I'm not really sure why she was the one to decide to split up with him, but I understand being sad. It's a new chapter that you're going into, so it's okay to cry about it. But we do have a free, cheap, standard, or expensive representation. Basically, like in the real world, whichever representation you choose is on you for the service that they provide. So if you choose a free representation, yes, it's better than nothing, but also you're probably not going to get the best representation if you don't go for expensive. Just keep that in mind, that what you choose determines how good your lawyer will be. So we'll go expensive because this is a mod review, so I'm not really worried about expenses, no pun intended. But she'll go out and get this lawyer, and it says Francesca decided to hire a lawyer. It is time to go discuss her case with her chosen professional. So once she gets back, we'll then start the process. So she is now back, and we are going to go click on her again, but this time I'm going to click on the custody and alternate guard, because you want to decide on custody first before settling the estates, because they put in child payment, child custody payment, child support within the mod. Now you're not getting a weekly pay like in Sim Realist bills where you get a weekly pay from child support. This is just like a one-time thing that they put in account with the child support. So this is important to do the custody first, but you can click on decide custody of child, and it will allow you to choose yourself who the kid lives with. But we'll just go to the court over custody decision, and this takes into account the kid's child preference and some other stuff as well, I was saying in the beginning of the video. So you want to be careful of maybe if you're choosing court and your sim's not financially stable, you might lose custody over your kid, but don't worry. You can still see them through the custody panel, and you can request to have your kid come over to the house, or you can even cheat them to be back within your household. So we're going to go off. She's going to go with this rabbit hole. I think it's a couple hours within The Sims. Glad to know Julia is back watching TV. So yeah, she doesn't have a clue what's going on. She has no clue what's going on, and I don't really know how to tell her that her parents got divorced. But we'll then go on to decide on custody of the child. It is important to note that you can do this with multiple children, but what I will say from my own experience of playing this mod with multiple children is sometimes different. If you have multiple children, one child will go to like one household and the other child will go to the other household. It really just depends, but don't worry, you can decide. You can redo the custody assignments and stuff like that, but we'll go ahead and click on Julia, and it says Francesca obtained custody of Julia. It says custody for Julia has been decided. If she was not in the correct household yet, she has now moved. So again, it is all randomized, so you never know what's going to happen. But if you were not given custody, then the child would go to the other household. And why is she sad? Julia is relieved at the custody decision, matching her preference of whom to live with. So Julia is sad that she won't get to see one of her parents as often anymore. Life will be forever changed, and now she feels a little lost. So your children do get buffed from this, but she is relieved at the custody decision. Again, like I was saying, your children's preference on who they like and who they don't like will determine custody as well. And I think you're able to actually, like, your kids are able to tell you their preference. They can also ask to go visit their other parent, which is what I was about to get into next. Now that you are divorced and no, we're actually not divorced. Never mind. I'm skipping way ahead. We'll go back into the relationship panel, and we'll go back to makeup and breakup because we're not finalized on the divorce. I don't know why. I just, in my head, we were already divorced, but we'll go to the settle splitting of estate. Again, they will say this: assign child custody first, if applicable, if you want child support to be determined properly. That's why we did the custody first, but we'll go to the settle of the estates and click on Jarrett. Jarrett will probably be even more upset from seeing us there, and it doesn't matter because now it's just a matter of, do we get money or do we lose money? Although Jarrett, I think, has less money than we had. We lost money, so divorce officials have determined that Jarrett should receive funds from Francesca and have made sure the subsequent financial transfer was enacted. So now we're left with $3,277. Like anything, divorce is expensive. It's not cheap. Divorce is expensive. It's probably more expensive than when you get married. Divorce is an expensive thing. So I'm not really shocked that we lost $10,000. I've had Sims lose everything. I had one Sim. She had like $50,000 in her account. She lost like $45,000. She was left with nothing after she got divorced. But the important thing to take away from here is that Jarrett did have less money than us. So normally, from what my observation is, when your Sims have less money and the other partner has more money, they're more than likely for that party to get more money for the ones that don't have enough money, because, when you're married, you kind of split everything. But we'll now go into the actual finalization of this divorce process, and we'll hit makeup and breakup and finalize divorce. With Jarrett, it'll say, are you sure if applicable matters of children's custody and then sharing estate must be settled before finalizing divorce? We've done that, finalize divorce, and we will now go and do this divorce process. Francesca's we declined on the self-discovery, but she should be divorced in a little bit, and that was $500 as well. Again, very expensive. So be sure when you marry your Sim, if you're using this mod, that they are marrying the right person if you want to save some cashola. But another thing that I thought of and that I was thinking of is a theory of mine. With this mod, if you have SNB installed, which I did a mod review on the bank account, you can probably put your money into the bank account and they can't touch your bank accounts. So you could have $1 million in that bank account and just have $1,000 in your household fund. And if you have less money than the other party that you divorced from, you should be able to gain from that. So I'm just saying, I never put ideas in your guys' head. I just said that you could do it that way to where you're getting money, even though you might be already rich. Now, granted, I don't know if that theory works. I might have to test it out on this channel, but you guys can do whatever you want on that. We could probably do some test runs on that because I don't think they will calculate your bank account. I think it's just the household funds they calculate, but I could be wrong on that. But now that we're divorced, we can now click on Julia again. And no, not Julia. we can click on our sim again. And this is kind of where the nice part is, because, you know, obviously when you get divorced, if you have children, custody is like one of the number one things that, you know, people deal with. So we can go back to this custody and alternate guard. And right here you can say remove custody assignments from child. We're not going to click that, but we can call our ex to send child to a visit, which is what we'll do. We'll call Jarrett and let him know that he can pick up his kid. And that way your Sims, yes, they've lost custody, but they didn't lose it fully, because you could still send your kid over for, you know, a day or 3 days. So we'll click on Julia and this window will pop up saying 1 day visit, 2 day visit, or 3 day visit. Now, sometimes within the mod, it can be a little glitchy, and it's not really the mod's fault. It's just because it's a lot of coding within the Sims to do custody, where they will actually go over to their parents' house and they might not come back directly on time. So don't worry, there are a lot of fail safes within this mod to get your kid back. So don't worry about your kid being gone forever at their other parents' house, but we'll do a 1 day visit and Jarrett will come over and pick up Julia, and Julia will say I should get going, but they will take her out of your household and she will go to Jarrett's house for a day. Now, she did go over at 11 p.m., so we should get her back at 11 p.m. tomorrow. But I might pick her up a little earlier, because you're able to do that. If we click on Francesca again, click on our panel, you will see call X to get child back from visit early. Again, that's another fail safe that you can do. If your kid's not coming back, you can click on them to get them back. But we will let Francesca do her thing, and I will come back when it is time to pick up Julia. So now that Francesca is back from work, I do want to note that when your Sims go to work and maybe you sent your children off before they went to work, they might not come back around the same time that your Sims sent them off, because number one, they do still continue to go to school when they're outside of your household, but also when your Sims are away, I don't think the kids will come back directly on time, which is why they have their fail safes there for you. So we'll go ahead and call Julia to come back from her visit, and we'll just go back into the same panel and call X to get child back from her visit. Now she should come back. There she is. She's back in all her glory. And yeah, so and then you can send them back off as well, but they should come back into her household, but it might take a little bit, so don't like panic. If not, you can always add them back to the family through testing cheats on, but she's back. So that is essentially the mod. It's one of my favorite pieces of the RPO collection, just because of how realistic it is, but how there's a lot of gameplay options with this mod in the overhaul. So I really do enjoy playing with this side of the mod because it allows for more realistic gameplay. But with that, I will end the video right here. Well, thank you all so much for watching today's YouTube video. I hope you all enjoyed it. This, again, is one of my favorite parts of the RPO collection because it just allows for that realistic gameplay and for your Sims to have more options on the divorce side. I will say the divorce in base game Sims is a little bland. Like, literally all you have to do is ask for a divorce and you don't have to pay anything. There's no custody or anything. It's just a bit bland in my opinion. So I was so excited when she came out with this portion of the overhaul because it just adds so much into your game. It allows for more storylines. And for me, I am a divorcee child. So I will say it is very realistic to what in real life with the going back and forth between households and stuff like that. Also, not everything needs to be unicorns and rainbows in The Sims. As you all know, I love realistic mods. So the more realistic my game can be, the more happier I am. But with that, I will end it here. But if you enjoyed this mod review, please leave a like and comment your favorite part about this video. And would you play with this in your Sims for a game, or is it just too realistic? If not, I understand. Clicking the divorce button and not having to worry about all that other stuff is nice, but you can gain from it with the money side. You could gain from it. Like I was saying, download the Sims National Bank mod and you could get more money from it. This could be an investment. No, I'm joking. But anyways, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But with that, I will see you all on Wednesday.